World of YouTube, true crime, a terrible sight, and everything else. Wanted to go over a movie I started watching last night. Of course, I've been, check that out. We got strobe lights in the neighborhood. Apartment complex of condos is, got a light post. Looks like a strobe light. That's right. Friggin' neat. I like coming out here at night and staring at it. But other than that, I ain't been doing a few some night videos, walking the puggies. I've been walking them earlier, doing early walks and stuff. And of course, because of the time, I've been doing videos in the morning. But the dog was begging to go out, so I figured I'd get him out and do a night video. Oh man, there's some things I've been looking up. And watching this movie the other night because someone commented, because I was doing a thing about Mothman and last month, and someone told me to watch the movie Mothman Prophecies. I tried watching it on a free movie app, mind you, but literally I couldn't watch the full thing, and it was with Richard Gere. And I couldn't watch the whole thing because the damn thing kept freezing up. And by the time I, cut maybe like 15, 20 minutes of it, watching it in a 2-night period or 20 minutes, I gave up because the friggin' app wasn't working. It's like, you piece of crap. But someone had mentioned to watch that movie because of a statement I made about the Mothman. And lo and behold, like I say, with every other mythical or spirited creature, as so Skinwalker, as so Pukwudgie, and Goatman, stuff like this, Mothman. And I'm even going with Bigfoot. And all of these origins of creatures, of course, date back to Native American lore. So, someone had mentioned to watch that movie, which I'm going to see if I can try and get that app up again and try and watch it again. But I started watching this one, which is Mothman, and it kind of seemed like a B movie kind of thing. Kind of, started out, but it did give me, some good theories on this. And I am gonna say that right now that I watched this movie, and before I watched this movie, mind you, like I said, I don't know nothing about the Richard Gere movie, other than the what I did get to watch was him and his girlfriend or wife. And like I said, this movie kept stopping and buffering. Then it would play. And then I didn't have no headphones at the time, but they had the words up, so I was reading it. And, I got to the part where I think his wife or whatever was in the hospital. She had an accident in her car and whatnot. Of course, she must have had an encounter with the Mothman, and the car died and whatever, or an accident. So, I'm watching this movie, get to the point where, I stopped and that's all I know. I don't know what happened in the end. I don't know, nothing, seriously, honestly. And mind you, this was a month ago that someone mentioned that. Oh yeah, check out that movie. So, literally last night, this movie comes up and I started watching it immediately. even though it ain't the one I wanted to watch. And in the beginning, and mind you, like I said, I mentioned in a video, long before I even watched this movie, that I'm thinking Mothman. Now get this, believe it or not, I never watched this movie until last night. And you can read the, and I'll tell you, if I would have known this before, I'd already done a video on it. So, this is out of the blue, right? This is, I'm telling you, I just started saying that I think Mothman is a Native American spirit made. And I was saying, this is what I said, and I quote, to keep white man off sacred land. But this myth on this creature, Mothman, is not only toward the white man, but it ain't got nothing to do really about sacred land. It's got to do with a wrongful death. And they captured a chief. And this is how the story was told by an older gentleman in the movie, because when the Mothman started to appear, a girl, was starting to snoop around. And that's the story. It came, a chief was cut to pieces, burned. But just before they did that, he summons, what the Native Americans used to fear. Supposedly this was something they used to fear, but, I think all Native Americans say that. I'm sorry, because, right, they don't want you to think you can't fear this. But you know what? If you learn to respect these creatures, honestly, I think they won't bug you. But if you're disrespecting just like this movie taught, and the storyline goes that, the chief was burnt, killed, chopped up, and he summons the Mothman. And why am I saying that it's a wrongful death thing, that it comes back? Because in the beginning of the movie, and I don't know how this ends, because as you can see where the red line is, that's where I stopped it. But it's free on YouTube. You can check it out if you're interested in this stuff. But what I got out of it was, there was a teenager going out. Go figure. A story almost just like mine, but it don't have nothing to do with swimming. It's got to do with me going out to Big Boys, and I have it up, Boy Left at Cemetery video, and it was me that got left at a cemetery. But this kid was, oh yeah, my little teenage brother, and they were like college students, and they're all out at this lake at night. And they started, and they're in Pennsylvania, and they start talking to the teenager about the Mothman and trying to scare him of how he runs up and down this river they were swimming in. So they all decided to play a prank on the boy, get him out swimming. I think he was like 15, 16. And they literally started going under behind him where he couldn't see nobody, and started grabbing his leg. Then they come up, he turned around, that person was laughing, someone else he wasn't looking at grabbed his leg, he turned around that way, someone's there laughing, wasn't me, like type thing. Then another one went under, pulled his leg, until eventually he friggin' drowned. And man, not only that, it's like, what happened next is like, what are you doing? But I'm not going to say what happened to that kid, but I will tell you. And I recommend you watch the movie. Wrongful death took place. And what they did to the kid even was more wrongful death. And it's like, wow, are you kids that stupid? It was like these stupid college kids. One of them was the brother. I mean, They're like, I can't get caught. We can't get caught. We can't let this be known. And where the chief died, I forgot what he said, why they captured him and chopped him up in pieces, but I'm sure it had to do with taking land or something, or he was trying to get back land. Whatever the case may be, Native Americans were stolen from their stuff. End of story. And they wrongfully killed him. And they wrongfully killed this kid too. So I mean, the chief, and where they did it was around the location of the Mothman. So it was coming up, I guess, 10 years later on the anniversary. And of course, the spirit world where the chief lives. Obviously, this boy was there, and then that's what summons the Mothman, because the presence of the chief felt that all these kids were getting back together, and you did a wrongful death. Now you shall die. And it's like, to me, that's the truth. Call me crazy, but if these things were seen back in the day, and they still are seen, I'm sorry. Just like the skinwalker, the pukwudgie, the everything that Native Americans have with these dark, evil creatures. I believe they're all real. And I believe that H.P. Lovecraft was given these visions in his books of storytelling and writing to tell, the tales of these stuff. I think he was chosen to do that, literally. That's why he had these dreams and vision of things, which he was really. And now leads me to another thing, and get this, and it's when I'm talking about stepping into that spiritual doorway zone. Well, call me crazy, but me and my wife were just talking about this, and this will make you more of a little believer too. You gotta believe this, and if you don't, well, hey, you don't believe. But my mother, when she passed away, my wife, the night before, started getting chest pains. And I did a video on this, but this is where it's leading me to this, spiritual doorway that you can walk through or get to if you have the right mind. And that's what I believe the Mothman is. That kid was killed in a spot where the Mothman could have been laid to rest in the spiritual world, seeing that they did a wrongful death, and he went back for vengeance for this kid. And what they did to that kid next to me, I couldn't even watch it. I had to fast forward the movie, and I didn't even watch that part of what happened after he died, but it was 10 years later, and I was like, I couldn't even watch it. I was like, wow, you guys, they didn't even really try. They tried the CP. They didn't even do CPR. They just did the chest compressions. So, they could have breathed. They didn't breathe in his mouth. They didn't properly help this kid either. But hey, it's a movie, whatever. But what they did next, it's like, wow, you can't be serious. And I recommend anybody to watch this, because this will make you a believer to walk to the door if you ever come in cross with the spiritual world of the doorway that I'm talking about. Like I said, my wife was having chest pains, pulling her chest. Oh, man. I said, wow, maybe she's, you want to go to the hospital. She, no, but it just friggin' hurts. And she's pulling and pulling. And it's like, wow, maybe it's your anxiety, because she has real bad anxiety. A lot of people do, but when she gets going, man, it's like, you shake your head like, wow, you try and do something, you gotta get her here. But she went to bed, eventually waking up the next morning to me, waking up to my brother calling me. And no lie, believe it or not, that next day after my wife's chest pains, my mother died of a cardiac arrest. She felt that shit. Now, 2 years later, I don't know, I believe it was in the middle of the night, but she said she was going to wake me up. I said, well, why didn't you? But then I said, you got it under control. Because what she said next, because she woke up gasping for air. And she said, I couldn't believe you didn't hear me. And, if she's gasping for air and sucking it in and not going, ah, or yelling, and she can't yell because she's gasping inward, I'm not going to hear that. I said, why didn't you hit me? I would have got up, I would have did something. But she said, oh, I got under control. I said, yeah, all right. And then what she says next, she gets a call 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's her sister. Oh, she's talking about her mother. Her mother's been sick now. She's basically letting herself go. Now, my wife's mother, and her, ever since she was born, I believe they've had a toxic relationship. And my wife has told me some horror stories that I can't really bear to tell, but I can assure you they're one of them. They're these stories that the people that say I haven't talked to my mother in years type stories. And that's what she has done. So it's coming down to the point where your mother's letting go. And, her mother ain't apologizing to my wife to what she done to her. And one thing I will say, her mother put the burden on her to take care of her three younger siblings. And my wife babysat them and got her life taken away from her. That's one thing I will say. Her teenage years weren't that great. Taken away, punished, grounded, go to your room. All them things. And brutal stuff even more to continue on. But, it's just, some people get that way. You just get that way where you cannot take or handle more. And her mother hasn't apologized to her or even set to make amends. And her mother hardly even knows my two younger kids. That's how bad it got. Because her mother is like in all favor for her favorite grandson that is not one of my wife's kids, but one of her sister kids. And she literally said that in front of my kids and my wife. And it was like, wow, there's my favorite grandson right here. Oh, geez, you got favorites around here. I never do that. But anyways, so you get the picture of why my wife is not talking to her mother, but what happens last night in a minute, say about 4 or 5 in the morning, she's gasping for air. She gets a call from the sister. Her mother went to the hospital because she could not breathe. She's complaining about breathing at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So whatever the case may be, channeling I call it, I believe my wife channeled because of the simple fact that, no. I hope that's still recording. That I did lose time with because of my parents and their episodes of what had happened between my uncle and them. The story is not fully known, but there was some, family hatred back then, stuff like that. But my uncle, at the exact same time that I was laying in bed, I don't know why the F I was hugging myself, but I got a big white light and jolt in my body. I called my cousin and I told her what had happened, because now I'm talking about, there's found out my uncle passed away and they tried to revive him. And I told my cousin this story, and exactly at the time that they jolted my uncle, I woke up. That's right. So I was channeling somehow. And my wife channeled between my mother and her mother. Channeling that door in the spiritual world. And I think this Mothman has that too. Even though they're saying the Mothman in this movie only can channel through mirrors. Stuff like mirrors and stuff. And that's what you see him coming through the TV and the mirrors like shiny stuff or something like that. But all in all, the story is, folks, you know, these Native Americans, and my wife had a dream very young, and I've mentioned the story before, of natives way in her backyard where her grandmother used to live, sitting around the friggin' fire with war paint, feathers in their hair, and getting ready for battle. So channeling, folks, channeling through the door of the supernatural. I believe it's there, and when you have them dreams, that's right. That's called, to me, channeling. And that's what I think this Mothman is. And now it's the fact, proven fact, that it was a Native American who made the Mothman. And that's pretty much the meaning of this. And I said this way before I even watched this movie. I didn't know nothing about the Mothman through these movies, only what I have read. And when I started looking up the Mothman and where it was seen and looking into the Native American stuff around it, that's when I thought, ooh, you know, I believe that's what Native Americans have done, and it's obviously true, coming true. So, you know, with that being said, I'm starting to get goosebumps on the back of my neck because, yeah, a lot of stuff that I've been saying and doing, and before I even see or even know, it's all coming to life. And, you know, sometimes I gotta take a step back and breathe because it's like, really? I'm saying this before I even know something. It's like, pretty cool, but also, wow, blows my effing mind. So, I mean, that Mothman legend, I believe, is true. All these supernatural, you know, creatures, they're real, and they're protecting certain things that natives wanted to be protected. And I'm starting to realize this, and because me and my wife have native in our blood and have been around stuff, and let alone me opening up, and I think I'm the one to open up this door to that channeling, you know, door. When I started with the King Philip War back in 2015, the 500th anniversary, not even knowing when I opened up that book a month after that war started, and started going to all the locations in the book. Now, like I said, I got the hawk, the eagle, you know, the raven, the bobcat. I got everything. The owl I have come in contact with, have video of proof. I have stepped into this door, and I think I'm pretty much on my way to getting more evidence of the supernatural, bring it to life. So, no joke here, folks, no joke. Believe it or not, but this is no joke. And with that being said, I got a 4K camera and I got stuff for evidence. And hell, if anybody ever needs a friggin' house investigation of ghosts, I'm your man. I'll bring them out. I can probably get rid of them too. Yeah, that's right. Until that next video, be safe, take care, and always believe. You gotta believe after this tale. And this ain't no tall tale. This is the real tale. That's right. Out.